Welcome to the Connection Revolution podcast. I'm so thankful that you're joining us. We have a very special guest with us today, a great friend of mine, Karen Blankenship. Karen, it is so great to have you with us on this podcast. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
We're looking forward to hearing more about the Women Leaders Missional Network today and all that God's doing through that. But you also have other ministry endeavors that you've been doing for a long time, and we're going to hear about that, books and speaking engagements and things like that. Would you start off, Karen, just by telling us a bit about how the Lord brought you into his kingdom and kind of what your journey has been like and what's kind of led to you being the leader of the KC Women Leaders Missional Network?
Sure. Well, I will say I've been married for 45 years. Very happily married to Dan, got 3 kids. I have
Amen.
5 perfect grandchildren. They're perfect. But so for me, I actually grew up in a Christian home. I accepted Jesus when I was 6 years old.
Amen.
And thinking back, my first ministry job was when I was 13, and they needed a piano player at my church. And so that was my very first ministry job. Taught in a Christian school, and then was on staff at several churches. And so my introduction to the Sending Project actually came through one of those churches I attended, and then later on a church that I was on staff, and that's where I met Eric with the Sending Project. And just God opened up the door for me, went to Israel. My husband and I did with the Sending Project. It was a great experience, and it just opened the door for me to be a part of the Sending Project. So I was on full-time paid staff for I think 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
And my favorite thing about the Sending Project is it opened my eyes to the Big C church, like the church in Kansas City. I love my church. I love the local church. But sometimes we get so focused on our church that we forget that God is doing all these great things out and around Kansas City. We were all having this Christmas event together, and they were like, "Oh, we just would love to see, we got all these pastors meetings. What if we had a meeting for a group meeting, a networking meeting for women leaders who are leaders in church and leaders in ministry?" Our mission statement is that, we are a diverse citywide network of women church leaders and ministry leaders, and we focus on uniting, encouraging, and equipping women leaders in the calling that God's placed on their lives, both locally here in Kansas City and missionally as well.
How many different women would you say have been participating in this network over these 6 or 7 years or whatever it's been?
We've had over 300, I know for sure, over 300
Wow.
networked over these years. And within that, I mean, quite honestly, most of the women, a lot of the women they're nonprofit ministry leaders, women leaders in Kansas City.
That's great.
We have some church leaders that are women, but for the most part, they tend to be the nonprofit ministry leaders. Back in, I think 2009 is when I wrote my first book. And anyway, so I've been able to write 4 books since
Wow.
then, and working on my 5th book. So
Wow, that's amazing. Tell us about one or two of those you want to highlight more right now, if you don't mind.
my most recent book, which I happen to have a copy right here,
All
is
right.
called Write It Down, because I am an avid journaler and I've been journaling since I was in 7th grade. And what I realized is I did all this research once again, the importance of journaling. And I actually in 2013 began to journal in my Bible, like Bible journaling, I call it, where I would
Hmm.
write down certain things. And actually, the reason I remember so many details about when I came to the Sending Project is because I was journaling along that way.
Hmm.
And there were
Wow.
just over and over again, these different journal entries that I wrote that pointed to how God led me to the Sending Project.
Wow. That's fantastic. Karen, just real quick, kind of in this same theme, wasn't too long ago that you guys had an event where you had kind of I want to say like a ministry fair or something like this. Just tell us briefly about that, because that'll give people another idea. Even though you don't do that very often, that's sort of the spirit of the thing all the time. So go ahead.
Yeah, it was in June. Our June meeting, we decided for that very reason, we wanted to give other ministries an opportunity. So we had 33 ministries come and set up at Westbrook Church.
Wow.
Just all different ministries, Hope is Alive, the Barnabas Project, Hands Across the Sea,
Mm.
what Altered Stories. I mean, some of the ones that I've already mentioned, but we had 32. And we had lunch and everything. And then Rochelle actually talked about collaboration, because she has done such a great job with that, collaborating with all these different people in ministries and schools in Kansas City. So it was it's the first time we ever did it. And I think we'll probably do it again, because it was just great. We didn't charge anybody. It was like, if you want to come and set up, you come and set up. And so we filled up that community room.
Thank you so much, Karen. And thanks for all you do to help further God's kingdom in KC and beyond. To those of you watching and listening to this podcast, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And we definitely look forward to when you're back with us again next time as the Connection Revolution continues.